For the grading and layering sample, we are going to grab two 2x4 sample pieces and put them right sides together. Then we are going to place our fabric and sew a straight seam at 5/8 seam allowance. Again, back stitching at the beginning and end of the seam. And remember to clip your tails. With any project, it is better to clip your tails as you go than to have to try and find them all at the end of your project. So we should have a sample piece that looks like this, just sewn with a 5/8 seam allowance. Now, similar to the trimming sample, we are going to start by trimming. This technique is used for reducing bulk even more than trimming on a seam allowance in a project or garment. So we are going to cut about half of it off, so about 1/4 of an inch. Again, I want you to come at the end here, I want you to cut at an angle so you can see how much you cut off. Then what I want you to do is you're going to split your seam allowance in half and cut only half the seam allowance again. So again, seam allowance in half, and only cut one layer of your seam allowance. Again, about in half, so you should have about 1/8 of an inch left on your seam allowance. And when you come to that diagonal, again, I want you to cut up at a diagonal so you can see how much you cut off. Now you can see why it's called layering. It's because we're layering the seam allowance. This reduces bulk as it sits on different parts of the body and clothing.